Netflix investors, get ready because they're about to do a stock split. Now, they haven't mentioned it. They have not mentioned it, but it's looking pretty obvious they're going to do a stock split. I did this with NVIDIA literally a year ago, and I was right. And I think I do know I'm going to be right with Netflix too, based on history. And I'm really pumped. Stock splits really give me a good pump, especially when it comes down to Tesla, because you guys already know I'm an all-in Tesla investor. But I love talking about stock splits and pointing out the ones that are going to do next. I really love doing that because I'm 95 to 98% sure it's going to happen. And I think Netflix, is going to happen very, very soon. Sheesh, let's get down to it. Smash the like button if you haven't already and hit subscribe. Let's go. So Netflix has been roaring like crazy for the past 6 months that it's not even funny. In fact, if you bought Netflix 6 months ago, you've more than doubled your money. But if you bought at the 2021-2022 crash at the bottom of, I think it was 170, 180 bucks per share, you almost quadrupled, not almost, you more than quadrupled your money. That is insane. It's the same story with Meta, and I think they'll do a stock split next as well, but that's going to be for a whole different video. But that's insane. 4 to 5 times X. As a Tesla investor, I am flipping jealous, kind of, because I did buy at the 100 bucks per share and brought up to like almost 500. I 5 times my money too, somewhat too. But as a Netflix investor, you're not complaining right now. Right now, the stock price is at 1,000 bucks per share. And here's the crazy part. This will go higher. How do I know? Check this out. Check the forecast of Netflix. In 2027, they're projected to do $55 billion in revenue and $15 billion in profits. And this is why I believe a stock split is coming very heavily, because a company only does a stock split when they know the stock's gonna go higher. And the fact that Wall Street is saying that by 2027, my God, the net income is gonna be $15 billion. And if we put that into perspective, right? PE right now is trading around 55 PE, which gives us a market cap of 420 billion, which is quite hilarious. But if we give that if we give it a 50 PE at a $15 billion net profit, that is about $750 billion in valuation. That's an 80% growth, guys. That's insane. But let's just say 50 PE is way too high. 50 PE is ridiculous. 40 PE, let's just say, right? For Netflix, with the margins and the growth they have, I think 40 PE is, I think, the sweet spot for it, and the lowest we should go with it. That's $600 billion in market cap, which is a 40% growth from here. To put it into some perspective, guys, 600 billion in valuation is a stock price of 1,400 bucks per share. And for 750 billion in valuation, that's a stock price of nearly 1,800 bucks per share, which is an 80% growth. So if I'm Netflix and I see this and I see my growth going higher in the next 2-3 years, let's say 15 billion by 2027, I'm gonna do a stock split, which is absolutely a sheesh moment. Like, I'm not a Netflix investor, guys. I don't really follow Netflix, but I know they're a high margin business. I know they do very well. I know they're a subscription business. They do very well. And again, I don't know too much about Netflix. I'm just a guy on the internet that's going all into Tesla stock, because I think Tesla's going to become the world's most valuable company within the next 5 years, in my opinion. But we can't really avoid Netflix when they're going to do a stock split. That's the sheesh part. That's why I love stock splits. I love following companies that does stock splits, because it's very, very exciting. But again, I don't know anything about Netflix. I've never done any deep dive on them or anything, but I do know they have a good future ahead, at least for the next 5 years. And here's the crazy thing, guys. If they're going to do 15 billion in profit in 2027 and the market wants to price that in now, I mean, 1,700 bucks per share, guys. Netflix never allowed their stock to be worth more than 700 bucks per share ever in their history before. And if we take a look at their stock price or stock split history, they've only done 2 stock splits. The latest one they did was all the way back in 2015, so literally 10 years ago, for 7-for-1. Now, if we go to the chart and see what the stock price would have been pre-split at that time in 2015 in July, that's a stock price of 700 bucks per share. So after the split, the stock was 100 bucks per share. And if we go prior to that stock split, all the way to 2004, they did a 2-for-1, and the stock was only at 70 bucks per share, which is interesting because at 70 bucks per share, they did a 2-for-1 stock split, which I don't know why they would do that. Maybe at that time that was a high for them, with a high stock price for them. I'm not too sure. And then they did another one at $700 for 7 for 1. They really love their 7s, which is quite interesting. And the crazy part is that this was 11 years in between, and now 10 years later, well, the stock price is a lot higher than their previous stock split. At that price, they did a stock split at 700 at $1,000 per share. So this is why I think they're gonna do another stock split. I would say within the next 3 months, maximum 6 months, in my opinion. And I think this is inevitable. I think it's going to happen. No doubt. I think they're even talking about it right now in the little headquarters that, oh, look, our stock price is almost at 4 digits. This has never happened before in the history of Netflix. I think we should think about doing a stock split. Now, here's the thing, guys. What's the benefit of a stock split, right? Most of you guys watching this going like, man, what is the benefit? I know stock split is so hyped and all that kind of stuff, but what is the true benefit? Here's the truth, guys. There's nothing really big about the stock split except for 1 or 2 things that I can tell you guys, right? So the benefits of a stock split, right? One of the big benefits to me as a signal, as an investor, is that the management, the company, is very confident that the stock's going to go even higher, that they have to split the stock. Because think about it, guys, there's a lot of institutions out there that don't allow fractional shares. You can't buy a stock with fractional shares. And if you're an investor that wants to buy Netflix, for example, and the stock is at $1,000 per share and you can't get fractional shares, well, then where are you going to get that $1,000 to buy only 1 share of this company or of this investment? You don't have it. You prefer to put $100 in or $50 in or even $5 in, whatever it is. So doing a stock split will allow more investors to buy actual shares and bypass the fractional shares. So it gets easier to buy the stock, not cheaper, gets easier to buy the stock because the valuation is still the same. But again, the bigger picture here, the bigger benefit here in my view, and for us investors, is that the stock's going to go higher, so we have to do a stock split. So also not institutional, but normal investors can purchase our stock at a much cheaper price. Not a cheaper price, at a much easier price, because it's not cheaper, right? At a much easier price. Now, Pejjy, how will Netflix do a stock split? Now, in my opinion, I think it's going to be a 10 for 1. I think it's going to be a 10 for 1. If we think that the stock is going to hit, let's say, $1,800 per share within the next year or 2 or months or whatever, well then, a 10 for 1, that's only $180 per share. And if Netflix does stock splits, let's say over $700 per share, over $600 per share, or over $500 per share, well, I think that's going to take some time until Netflix does their next stock split, let's say within the next 5-7 years. So I think at 10 for 1, I'm going to give this a 99% certainty that they're going to do a 10 for 1 stock split. The last time they did was 7 for 1 and the stock was at $700 per share. Now it's at $1,000. And even if that thing doubles and they do a 10 for 1, that's only $200 per share. So they can run with this for the next maybe 7 years, or it looks like they do a stock split every decade now. But I think if Netflix continues to grow that they are, and if they continue innovating and doing cool things, then we could probably see stock splits happening much sooner. But again, I'm not a Netflix investor. I don't see this massive long-term vision, 10, 20, 30 years, like how I do with Tesla, and I can sleep at night, right? So it's different, right? But if you're a Netflix investor, get ready, man. Just get ready. It's going to be very exciting when Netflix announces their stock split, I think within the next 3 months, maximum 6 months. And you guys can come back to this video and roast me or not. Last time I did NVIDIA, and I was on the dot except for the split. I think the split was 10 for 1. I was predicting 5 for 1, but the stock went up much higher than anybody ever thought, which was absolutely a sheesh flipping moment. But for Netflix, I'm very confident that it's going to be within 3 months, and it's going to be a 10 for 1 stock split. It's going to be a sheesh moment. And again, I don't have any shares of Netflix, so I'm not biased or anything. I'm looking forward to see Tesla stock splitting, and I think I'm going to get that sooner than later, in my opinion, in this decade, the 3rd time that they're going to do it again, which I'm very excited for. I'll make that video separately. It's going to be a sheesh moment. But comment down below. I'm curious to know, do you think Netflix is going to do a stock split? If you think they are, what is the split ratio you think, and by when? Curious to know when they're going to do it. And if you're a Tesla investor, because majority of my audience is Tesla, they love Tesla, they talk about Elon, I love it too. This is how many shares you would need to retire by 2030 with Tesla shares. Not financial advice, but it's a very interesting video. Subscribe, guys. Get your About the Dip t-shirt, and I shall see you guys in the next video. See ya.